This is our presentation by Heidi Lumbard and Gaby Morales on parts of the house for our Spanish blended unit.
Here you can see the objectives for this unit. They include to know the parts of the house, the chores they can do. They need to know 2 commands, and they need to know how to give advice, and also some of the cultural aspects that come into the houses in Latin America.
Here's an example of our LMS, which is the Google Classroom. You can see we have various classes on there, including our Spanish 4.
In Google Classroom, we created a topic. That's how Classroom can put things together for one specific thing. And our topic is Partes de la Casa, and the students can find all their assignments or extra materials and information under Partes de la Casa, and they can find everything in one place.
This is our alternate LMS if we were going to move this unit completely online. We made a Google site where it has a lot of the activities. It is not completely finished because we reverted back to just using the Google Classroom, but if we were to do it in the future, we would update this.
So our unit has 2 parts. The first part is the culture part of the unit that talks about the features of the houses in Latin America. And part 2 is more where we focus on the grammar, like the 2 commands and how to give advice, all of that, and the vocabulary, of course. And that we'll do through our e-textbook from Pearson Realize.
Here is our assignment we did in Linked to test for prior knowledge. It had 1 question, and all the students answered it with flying colors.
Our first video was to introduce them to the technology like Flipgrid and Screencast. And we asked them to do a video of their bedroom, explaining what they had in their bedroom, because that was vocabulary they were familiar with.
And then here is our practice activity where we had them do a video of their house using the new vocabulary that they were just taught. And then they received feedback on that to help improve and to perfect their speaking component.
This is a sample video that unfortunately we cannot play for you because it doesn't go into Screen-O-Matic very well with the sound, but it really helps, will help the students to see how much growth they have made once they have their final project.
This is a picture of the WhatsApp. We did a FaceTime with a native speaker. The opportunity arose to be able to talk with Gaby's sister, where she showed off the parts of her house, which is a typical house in Mexico. We were originally going to do the WhatsApp more as a written back and forth with prompts, but when we were able to do it live with a native speaker, that was more enriching.
For our activity 2, we created an Ed puzzle, and we had our students answer questions about the culture and all the features in the houses in Latin America.
Then here are some of our results, and you can see that some of the kids didn't get it all the way watched or turned in. And then one student actually, because we're in the high school, they're allowed to have time to turn it in after the deadline for less points. And so then one of the students did do
that. We also had them take notes on a Google document because we had a class discussion and we wanted to make sure that they had all the elements that they were going to need for their quiz. And you can see that there's feedback right there to make sure that they were accurate in their notes. That way they could really know all the aspects of the culture, and we also gave them some of the history on the different cultures that had affected or influenced the building styles in Spain.
Then we had the students come up with sample questions for part of their assessment for the Latin American houses, the cultural component, and then we used those that they submitted and they created a Google form, and that was their final for the the cultural component, the final assessment for that.
And here is a sample of our quiz, the one that we created, and you can see that it's locked. And because we felt that we needed to have that in place so they could not go back to their Google Docs and look at their notes. You can also see that only 2 students chose to take the assessment online because they were given the option of doing it either online or on paper.
Here is a picture of the kids when they were taking the class. And so you can see some of them are doing it online, some are doing it on paper.
And for the second part of our unit, we are going to use our e-text and our textbooks and just go through the rest of the activities in the book, and then in the book, and really hit hard all the grammar points and have them just get more used to that vocabulary.
Here's some examples of the grammar pieces, practicing the to commands and giving advice, and they'll be doing these in the face-to-face component.
And for when we roll out the final video, we will give them a checklist of all the elements that they need to include in their video. And you can see here they are step by step what they need to do. And at one point they will have to turn in a plan at first that they will work on that in class. I give them a sample of what the plan should look like. Once that is developed, then they will concentrate on doing their script for their video.
And then we do have a student who did this last year, but of course with our input and output video commands, it's not working very well on this taking of the screencast. So just trust us, it was really good, and you can tell that the grammar improved, even compared to our students when they first run to the last run. There's a great improvement in their vocabulary.
And here's the rubric that we are going to use to assess those videos. It spells exactly for them what they need to do for each one of the elements that we are going to be looking at to assess them.
And then here is a copy of the written final summative assessment of the grammar parts that goes along with the textbook.
We have here the list of the deadlines that we have gone through for the culture part of this unit that we have done up to until now.
And then here's the second part, continuing with the grammar and vocabulary, the formative assessments, and then continuing on the video, which is their final for that project, and then of course the sound assessment, which is the actual written test. And then we have to remind these are high school students, that we tell them the final video is due on the November 26th, and they have a hard time remembering that if they're gone that day, it's still due because Google Classroom is online and they can turn it in any time, and they've been working on it. So we are trying to teach them how to be more responsible.
Thank you for watching our video.